This vine produces asparagus from its stems, spinach from its leaves, mushrooms from its flowers, potatoes from its roots, and soybeans from its pods. Every part is edible. This is not science fiction or a genetically modified experiment. It is an ancient reality that has existed for centuries. In 1975, the United States National Academy of Sciences released a landmark report that sent shockwaves through the agricultural community. They declared this specific plant arguably the most important underexploited tropical crop in the world. They predicted it would rival the soybean, solve hunger across the equator, and revolutionize the way the world ate. Yet, 50 years later, it is nowhere to be found in grocery stores. This is the story of the winged bean, the supermarket on a stalk, and the lost opportunity of the green revolution. Welcome to Ancestral Yields. If you believe we should be growing crops that feed the soil as well as the body, make sure to like this video and subscribe. To understand the true potential of this plant, we have to look away from the modern monocultures of the West and toward the mist-shrouded highlands of Papua New Guinea and the tropical belts of Southeast Asia. In Papua New Guinea, the winged bean, known locally by many names including aspen, was never considered a mere side dish or a desperate famine food. It was, and remains, a ceremonial staple. In the Sepik and highland regions, cultivating this vine is an art form. Unlike Western agriculture, which focuses on flat, uniform fields, traditional farmers of New Guinea understood the power of verticality. They grew the beans on tall mounds, using pit grass and bamboo to build elaborate trellises, creating towering gardens that maximize solar capture in small spaces. This reverence for the plant culminated in the great Sing Sing feasts, traditional tribal gatherings where wealth, status, and community bonds were forged. The winged bean, particularly its protein-rich tuber, was a centerpiece of these feasts. It was a currency of calories. The cultural significance is so enduring that in recent years events like the Aspen Festival have been revived to celebrate the crop. Farmers gathered to exchange distinct varieties, treating the seeds as heirlooms that carry the history of their ancestors. The Western discovery of the winged bean's potential did not happen in a field, but in a boardroom. The mid-1970s was an era defined by anxiety over global population growth and the looming specter of famine in the developing world. Scientists were desperate for a so-called magic bullet, a crop that could provide high-protein nutrition without the high cost of meat. In 1974, a panel of experts convened by the National Academy of Sciences began sifting through thousands of obscure plants, looking for a savior. They found it in Psophocarpus tetragonolobus. The resulting 1975 report titled Underexploited Tropical Plants with Promising Economic Value was nothing short of a love letter to the winged bean. The media seized on the narrative immediately. Headlines dubbed it the soybean of the tropics and the miracle vine. The hype was tangible and well-funded. The scientific community believed so strongly in this plant that an entire international body, the International Winged Bean Institute, was established in Sri Lanka in 1982. It was funded by global donors who envisioned a green revolution 2.0, where the winged bean would do for the humid tropics what wheat and rice had done for the temperate world. The goal was ambitious: to replace the massive, costly imports of soy and wheat in developing nations with a local, self-sufficient crop that provided a complete diet from a single seed. For a brief moment, in the late 20th century, it seemed inevitable that the winged bean would become a household name. Why was the scientific community so obsessed with this specific vine? Because when you break down the nutritional data, this plant is a nutritional powerhouse that challenges almost every crop we currently rely on. Let us start with the pods, which give the plant its name. These four-angled frilly beans are best eaten young. Nutritional analysis shows that immature pods contain roughly 1.9% to 3% protein, comparable to green peas, but with a mineral advantage. A 3.5-ounce serving, 100 grams, provides significant amounts of vitamin A and iron, making it a nutrient-dense vegetable in its own right. But the real magic lies in the leaves. In the Western diet, we rely on spinach for greens. But winged bean leaves are a superior biological engine. They are exceptionally high in vitamin A. The 1975 National Academy of Sciences report highlighted that the leaves can contain up to 20,000 international units of vitamin A per 100 grams. To put that in perspective, raw spinach typically hovers around 9,400 international units. This means winged bean leaves offer nearly double the vitamin A density, a critical factor for populations fighting blindness and immune deficiency. Then we move to the seeds, the part that terrified the soy industry. Mature winged bean seeds are a nutritional mirror of the soybean, consisting of roughly 30% to 42% protein and 15% to 20% edible oil. But where they truly shine is in their micronutrient profile. Comparative studies have shown that winged bean seeds often outperform soybeans in calcium, phosphorus, iron, and zinc. For example, winged bean seeds can deliver over 440 milligrams of calcium per 100 grams, 3.5 ounces, whereas soybeans typically offer around 277 milligrams. It is a denser, more fortified source of life. Finally, there is the hidden treasure, the root. This is the only legume that produces a root vegetable edible enough to rival the potato. But unlike the potato, which is mostly starch and water, the winged bean tuber is a protein bomb. While a standard potato contains barely 2% protein, the winged bean tuber boasts up to 20% protein by dry weight. It offers a calorie-to-protein ratio that is almost unheard of in root crops. With such an incredible nutritional profile and the backing of the National Academy of Sciences, why is this plant not in every garden? The primary obstacle was mechanical. The modern industrial food system is built on the concept of combine readiness. Soybeans have been bred to grow in short, determined bushes that mature all at once, allowing a massive machine to shave the field clean in seconds. The winged bean, by contrast, is a climbing vine. It seeks the sun. It wraps itself around anything it touches, creating a tangled wall of vegetation that defies the tractor. To harvest the pods, you need stakes, trellises, and most importantly, human hands to pick them continuously over weeks or months. It required labor in an era that worshipped automation. Furthermore, the plant suffered from a biological quirk known as photoperiod sensitivity. The winged bean is a short-day plant. It is genetically programmed to flower only when the days grow shorter, mimicking the light cycles of the tropics. When enthusiastic researchers planted it in Florida or southern Europe during the long days of summer, the vines grew monstrously large and lush. But they refused to produce a single bean. They were essentially confused by the latitude. While breeding day-neutral varieties was possible, the funding and research interest dried up as the SoY lobby solidified its dominance. The winged bean was cast aside. But here is what they missed. The very traits that made the winged bean unsuitable for industry make it a miracle for the home gardener. But there are a few details that need to be emphasized. The winged bean thrives in USDA zones 9 through 11 as a perennial, where the ground does not freeze. In these zones, the plant will come back year after year, the tubers growing larger with each season. If you live in a temperate zone, zones 5 through 8, you can still grow it as an annual, but you must be strategic. Because of its photoperiod sensitivity mentioned earlier, you need to source day-neutral varieties. If you plant a standard tropical variety in Ohio or New York, you will get beautiful leaves but no beans until the very end of fall, likely just before the frost kills them. You can find these seeds at specialized heirloom seed houses like Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds or Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. Look specifically for the Urizen variety or others labeled day neutral. To plant, wait until the soil is truly warm. This plant hates cold feet. The seeds have a hard coat, so scarify them by rubbing them on sandpaper or soaking them in warm water overnight to speed up germination. Plant them 1 inch deep. And remember, this is a vine that wants to climb. Provide a strong trellis, a cattle panel, or a bamboo teepee at least 6 to 8 feet tall. It fixes its own nitrogen, so it requires very little fertilizer, and it actually improves your soil as it grows. Plants may take a while to establish, often remaining small for several weeks after planting. But once established, they become highly productive. Once your vines are established, timing is everything. For the pods, you must harvest them when they are young and tender, usually about 2 weeks after pollination. They should be roughly 4 to 6 inches long and snap easily. If you wait until they are fully grown, they become fibrous and tough. In the kitchen, treat these young pods like a cross between snow peas and asparagus. Slice them diagonally and sauté them quickly with garlic and oil to preserve their crunch. For the greens, harvest the young leaves continuously throughout the season. They have a mild, spinach-like flavor and can be steamed or tossed into soups. The bright blue or purple flowers are also edible raw. Use them as a stunning garnish on salads to add a sweet, mushroom-like flavor. Finally, the roots. If you are growing this as an annual, wait until late fall when the vines begin to die back. Dig up the tubers carefully. They are smaller than commercial potatoes, usually about the size of a golf ball or a small sweet potato. Roast them or fry them. They have a rich, nutty flavor that is far superior to the bland starch of a russet. Caution. While the young pods, leaves, and tubers are safe to eat cooked, and the flowers are safe to eat raw, the mature dry seeds must be treated with caution. Like soybeans and kidney beans, they contain trypsin inhibitors and hemagglutinins. You cannot eat the mature seeds raw. They must be soaked and boiled for at least 30 minutes to deactivate these compounds. Gout is a serious concern for some people. Those who suffer from gout should avoid or strictly limit winged bean consumption. The winged bean is a purine-rich legume. The metabolism of purines produces uric acid, which can trigger painful gout attacks in susceptible individuals. Also, because the winged bean is biologically similar to the soybean, people with a severe soy allergy should exercise extreme caution, as cross-reactivity can occur. The failure of the winged bean in the 1980s was a failure of imagination, not botany. We tried to force a jungle vine to behave like a prairie grass. We tried to standardize a plant that thrives on diversity. Today, the context has changed. We are living in a world of shrinking garden spaces, expensive fertilizers, and a desire for nutrient density over industrial uniformity. A plant that creates its own fertility and a plant that provides a balanced diet from a single seed is exactly what we need. The winged bean was ahead of its time. It was waiting for a generation of gardeners who value resilience over convenience. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the garden.